Hello.
Hi.
The history link worked for me. The Apocalypse, the Second World War episode thing. So,
It worked for you?
yep, and it worked for Cassandra too.
Whoa. Have you guys falsified your ages?
Maybe. I don't really know.
What? You can't be
It
telling
just
me
sent me a
this stuff.
thing. It
I'm
said
responsible now that you've told me this.
it
Do you have
just
a
sent
fake
me a thing,
ID,
and it
Joey
was
Luce?
just like there was a notification popped up, and it was like may contain sensitive images, and I was just like, okay, and then it let me watch it.
All right. Okay. Good to know.
Maybe I
Hey.
screwed her out of my YouTube settings. I don't know.
All right. Okay. All right. We will definitely discuss that more in detail later. While we're not recording it. Oh, man. Okay. Josh Brown. So pumped that you have been able to join us.
I should make my name Josh, not Chuck. That'd be good.
You should.
We don't want Chuck. One of our lovely 12-year-old kids needed my laptop to do his soccer practice last night. So that's why it was Chuck. Very sorry. Very sorry.
Awesome.
Yes.
I love
Lovely.
it.
Wow. Good to see everyone. Hello.
I think we're almost all here. I'm just checking the side here. And wanted to introduce Josh as just like a vibrant, happening man that I thought you guys should meet. In our little discussion board on Thursday, I'd asked you, kind of my last question was for you to think about what life on mission means to you, what that might look like, what you've seen, maybe what someone's life on mission looks like. And I've invited Josh to join us because he is doing it. And I went to see him maybe about a month ago, was it, on a Saturday. Lives in the Waterloo area and really plugged into some community housing and a community of people who are new to Canada, either as, are they mostly immigrants, Josh, or do you have some refugees as well?
Yeah, it's a good mix between refugees, immigrants, and then lots of folks who's just like families have been in poverty for a few generations. So some Canadian families too. So, yeah.
So also Josh, I'm going to let him talk in a second because you hear me enough, but Josh went to Faith School where you guys are right now. It didn't have a high school, so he was a little younger, graduating out of there. So I feel like there's just a lot of similarities here, but Josh has chosen or felt led to, kind of after doing a sort of traditional schooling, non-traditional outcome. So again, in sort of teaching you Bible or discipling, whatever we're doing here, I want to present a whole bunch of different options for either career paths or not a career, but a calling or a life on mission. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Josh, to give us a little bit of background about who you are and then what you're up to and how you ended up here.
Sweet. Yeah. Spoiler alert. I think the spoiler alert is that I think everyone, regardless of their profession or career path or journey, can and like in a way like can really experience mission and really experience like really meaningful life, right? Regardless of where you go and what you do. That's a spoiler. But anyways, yeah, I'm happy to meet you guys. This is cool. I did not get the chance to do what you guys are doing high school at Faith. That was like not a concept. I was like, yeah, I graduated Faith like 10 years ago now, I think. How old do you have to be in grade 8? You're like 14 in grade 8, right? So yeah, almost 10 years ago. You guys are what, like 16 now? 16, somewhere in there? Yeah, 15, 16. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So I went to Faith from SK all the way to grade 8. I'm very proud to say that our Faith queso team won a lot of championships. We were pretty big on the sports. I don't know if there's still the kind of arts and athletics streams at Faith. Is that a thing? No. Wow. Oh, you guys missed out, man. Okay, when I was in Faith, like in the afternoon for like 2.5 hours, you either did like 2.5 hours of like arts and drama and like music, or you did like 2.5 hours of sports and athletics. It was a really like weird weird thing. No one I went to high school with like understood what happened, because they're like, wow, your school is weird. But anyways, it was cool. I am so anyways, I went to Faith, did all that, and then went to St. Joe's for high school, which I guess is pretty close to you guys. You like the high school's at like the Faith Church building, right? Typically when it's not online. Yeah. Okay, cool. My dad is one of the kind of quasi pastors at Faith as well right now. So there's all sorts of connections. But before I get into anything, I love to get to know people and what people are all about. I'd love to just hear a little bit from you guys, if that's okay. I hope that's okay. I was where you guys were, not too long ago, and I'm fascinated. If it's okay, am I allowed to ask you guys to like maybe introduce yourselves? And one thing I would really love to know is like, what is something that either like what gets you up in the morning? What is one of your passions, one of your hobbies that you really like, or what is something that you would like to do kind of in the future? Is that a valid question to ask you guys to think about? If you don't like obviously like have an idea what you want to be in the future, then just what is something that you're passionate about now? So if you could just introduce yourselves with your name and something about yourself, that'd be cool. I just like to get to know you guys first. And that would be awesome. Is that okay, Becky, to ask, or Mrs. On? Oops. Super. Yeah. I don't know how to do this. I don't know if anyone wants to kind of go ahead there and introduce themselves, or if I should point and pick. Nice.
I'll go ahead.
You're gonna have to pick.
Oh, nice.
I'll
okay.
go.
Well, I'm picking Caden then. How's that?
Yeah, so I'm Caden. I'm in grade 11. I'm 17.
Sweet.
And my passion is music. I'm a musician. So I play like 5 instruments now. I'm looking into probably either going into the business field, like owning my own business, or somewhere in the music field, like being an artist. That's kind of where I'm looking towards.
Wow. That's cool. That's really cool, Caden. That's awesome. Yeah. I had many roommates in university that were in the music department, and man, they're cool folks. Music's a cool passion. I only play like a little bit of guitar, and it's like a bit dodgy. So I look up to people like you, Kid. Who would like to introduce themselves next? It's gonna be Mr. Ryan. Nice.
Sure. My name's Ryan. I'm in grade 10. I'm 16. I would say my passions are sports, athletics, all that stuff.
Nice. What kind of sports specifically, Ryan?
Basketball would be my favorite. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. I should play basketball because I'm like tall, but I'm garbage. I'm garbage at basketball. And all the guys here around in our neighborhood are like insanely good at basketball. So I get shown up by like 12-year-olds all the time. It's not fair. But anyways, good to know someone like you is actually good at basketball. Sweet. Who's up next? Nice. I'm gonna have to start picking. Nice. It's gonna be Joey today.
I'm Joey. I'm in grade 10. I'm still 15. Kind of
Nice.
sad about that, but I like everything related to volleyball.
Ooh.
But we don't have volleyball teams yet, so kind of bummed about that. But
Dude, that's insane. You're sad that you're still 15 because you can't drive yet? Or
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Don't worry. It'll come. That's funny. Man, volleyball at Faith was a delight. There's you guys have teams with the high school team as well? Like you guys have sports teams that compete? Is that a thing?
Not yet.
Not yet. Right. Okay, cool. One day it'll come. It'll come. Sweet. Andy, you're up, man.
All right. I'm Andy. I'm 15. I really like sports as well. I run a lot. It's probably my claim to fame, I guess. And in the future, like I'm really interested in accounting and stuff like that, and finances and investing and all that. So that's probably where I'm ending up.
Oof. Oh, geez, you're smarter than I. That's good. That's good. Yeah. One of my best buddies did business and financial math at Laurier. Like did a double degree. Got like some scholarships, which is insane, and now is like working in downtown Toronto doing some crazy investing stuff like that. Man, it is a good good path to go on to set yourself up well for life. That's awesome. I would love to hear from, I don't know if I can pronounce it though. It looks like Ksena, but I could be wrong. But
Hi, I'm Ksena and in grade 10, and I really like kids, so I think in the future I'll be a teacher, possibly.
Ksena, you're my type. You're my type of person. I love kids too. That's awesome. Yeah, my mom's a teacher. She teaches at John Wise, but she's almost done. She's got like 3 years left, and she's like getting out of there. She gotta do some. You can only do so much with kids, Ksena. It's like 30 years is the max is what you can do. So that's awesome. Abby, what's up? Ooh, I can't hear Abby. Can everyone else hear Abby? No, okay. I can't hear Abby. I'm so sorry. I cannot hear you, Abby. Okay. Okay. Let's try to sort that out, and we'll move to Seth, and then we'll come back to Abby. How's that? Good. Nice.
My name's Seth. I'm 17 and I'm in grade 11. I enjoy working and I really like history. In the future, I plan on potentially joining the Canadian Army and the Reserve Unit. I'm not really sure what to do for a day job. I might do a trade, something like that. I'm not really sure.
Man, yeah. Man, trades are lucrative right now. I live in this awesome, cool neighborhood here with three guys that do trades, and like it is awesome. Tradespeople are sick. That's sweet, man. Yeah, one of my buddies from Faith went and did some Army stuff too, and yeah, cool guy. Anyways, thanks, Seth. We got Renuka. Am I close?
Yes, that is exactly how you say it.
Oh, Renuka.
So my name is Renuka, and I love movies, and I want to become a film director in the future.
What? That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Wow, that is a neat passion. Geez, that is cool. That is so cool. I don't even have any sort of connection to that because that is just so beyond me. That's sick. I'm happy to hear. I just got a note. There's a whole, maybe I'll send it to Becky after, but there's this whole like film directing competition right now for like young people. It's asking like young people to make a small video and like send it in, and there's a whole sort of thing. So anyways, I'll send it on, but really cool thing. Sweet. Sam, what's up?
So I'm Sam, I'm 16, and I have many different passions. What gets me up in the morning is my alarm. I love to sleep. I love sports, fitness. I can handle school. I like music, but I'm more of the like vocal type, not the instrumental. I don't do instruments. And I like drama, and I also love to argue. So I would consider going into the field of law. And I also accidentally call Mrs. Ong mom or Becky sometimes. So
That's
I'm with you, Josh.
Full on accent. There you go. That's nice, Sam. That's a lot of passions. That's cool.
So you got to be friends with Sam because you got a lawyer, and then friends with like a plumber and electrician and
Yeah.
some guy who does house building, so you get really cheap renovations.
That's just it, right? That's just it. I got Seth to be my tradesman, and I got Joey to be my volleyball teacher. So that's good. No, that's neat, Sam. Eventually, what I learned is that alarm clocks don't always work. By like third year university, my alarm clock didn't wake me up, so I just had to get really good roommates to like give me a good old slap on the face, and then that's what got me up. I would love to hear from Abby if we can, but I also know that maybe the sound thing might not work. No, it's okay. Can someone who knows Abby maybe share what one of Abby's passions are?
Okay, I can give it a try.
Nice, Sam.
Sorry in advance, Abby. Hi, I'm Abby. I'm 16, right? 16. I like music, sports, and going to school. And I plan to be a teacher. Oh, and I also like missions in Africa.
Nice.
Okay, I got it.
That's perfect. I'm sure you got it, and we'll have no way of knowing, so that's great. Abby, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm currently in a kind of leadership development, thing with 15 kind of Canadians here that are doing community development, and then we're with 15 Ugandan and Ghanaian university students who are doing work on the streets of Ghana with like kids who are like homeless and orphaned, and work on the streets to get money, and like their experiences there are just insane. So anyways, missions in Africa is just a whole new thing. There's a book called Kisses from Katie that was like really good, all about that. Anyways, all that for later. Anyways, guys, I really appreciate you guys sharing that. Just so you guys know, if you guys have any like comments or questions or whatever, just throw them out there, unmute, put them in the chat, whatever's comfortable for you guys. That's awesome. I ask you guys these questions because I think we all just have these innate kind of things that we drift towards, and I think those are really important for life. They're what make life interesting and exciting, and they often are what help us understand our calling and our mission and our purpose in the world, right? So yeah, I think that's why I ask, and I'm always passionate about that. Anyways, yeah, let me tell you a little bit about myself and what I'm doing here. So I'll just do a little bit of my story. I went to St. Joe's and was in the youth group at Faith, and I was kind of doing my stuff. If someone asked me when I was your age what my passions were, I would have had a different answer, because I was like, I love soccer, and I played a lot of soccer growing up and a bunch of different sports. I did some of the drama stuff at Faith, and I was kind of passionate that way. And then in the summers, I did a lot of stuff with kids, did a bunch of camps, did a bunch of stuff like that. So yeah, there's some connections there, but mostly I think I would have said like I loved like reading and learning and like theology. I was like super into that kind of stuff when I was like grade 9, 10, 11. And I always had this question of like, man, what am I doing here? Like, what's my purpose? What is like the most meaningful thing that I could do with my time and energy, right? So yeah, I really, was interested in that kind of stuff. So grade 11 came around. So sorry, and leading up to that, I was reading enough, or in Bible classes enough, or at youth group enough to know like, oh, it's good to have a relationship with God, and it's good to do good things and whatnot. And I was picking stuff up, and I was learning. And then grade 11 came around, and me and some friends from the youth group went down to the Dominican Republic, in Central America there, close to Haiti. There's a church there that worked with Haitian refugees, the people who were like forced out of Haiti. They were living in the capital, Santo Domingo, and we were kind of doing some like camp stuff with some of the kids there and whatnot. But it blew my mind, just like how different life was for people there. I grew up, you know, close to the church, in just a nice little suburb there. I had my friends, had my family, did my thing. It was really cool, had my hobbies. And then I went to the Dominican, and like life was radically different for people there. And I was like, oh, okay, the world is pretty big and very different. And I had the sense that like it's pretty unjust and like unequal, that like people experience totally different worlds and lives just based on, you know, where they're born and stuff. So that kind of happened, and I was kind of wrestling with that. I kind of came back and I was like, no, I don't want to, you know, eat nice food and do all these things that, you know, that are like super like, you know, privileged or whatever, because I want to like be in solidarity with folks there. And then I was like, oh man, this isn't so manageable going forward. But it stuck with me, that experience. So then I got to grade 12, and it was like, okay, you got to figure out what you're going to do, you know, next. And I was like, you know, I'm going to, because I was interested in theology, I thought about going to like a Bible college. And I was like, you know, I've been in a bit of like this kind of Christian, you know, like enclosure for a while. Like I've been surrounded by good Christian folk and awesome stuff like that. I think I'm gonna like step out of that and not go to like a Bible college where it'll be kind of same. But I'm gonna go like to, you know, university somewhere and study something that I was passionate about at the time, which was like international development, like learning why these big issues in the world happen, like poverty and injustice like that. So anyways, I went to university at Wilfrid Laurier, did international development. It was cool. I learned a lot. It was fascinating. I did not know what I maybe wanted to do in the future. Maybe I had dreams of like, maybe a little bit like Abby, like going across the world and you know, like changing the world and being on mission like there. But I didn't have any kind of big dreams. So then I was doing that and learning and figuring stuff out. And then it kind of got to a point where I was learning so much about what was different in the world, what was wrong with the world. I was like, man, okay, so there's, and I don't know if you guys, maybe this is, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I think there's a bit of a disconnect that I picked up from what, you know, what my experience of faith and church was, which was awesome. I learned incredible disciplines. I developed, you know, a faith of my own. But I saw a bit of a disconnect between like, there's some pretty big issues in the world, and you know, sometimes the church doesn't seem to be always like addressing them or like involved. So I was kind of, I got a little bit like frustrated with faith for a little bit. And I was, you know, I was kind of asking lots of questions and whatnot, which is good. I think, you know, faith is a journey, and, you know, sometimes you're like, yeah, this is awesome. And sometimes you're like, what even is this? But anyways, it's all a journey. So then I got to my third year of university and got a random email from this guy named Jeremy, who was like, hey, I want to like hang out with you and show you around Waterloo a little bit. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, why not? Pretty random. He was like an old guy. He's like almost 70. He like showed up at my apartment and was like, hey, I'm like related to your parents, and like, yeah, we're gonna go hang out. And I was like, again, a bit creepy, but like, we're gonna go for it. And he took me to Waterloo, to some spots in Waterloo that I'd never been to. These spots in Waterloo were what Becky was saying a little bit, was like lower income, like neighborhoods that were not what I was used to. They were like, yeah, it was just, yeah, you could tell that it was just a different world there. But what was really neat and really exciting was like the moment we got there, all these like kids and like teenagers and parents came like running out to see Jeremy and to like meet me, and like they're like, oh, like this is so like, hey, how are you? What's going on? And like immediately I got a sense that like there's a community here. This is, people like love each other here and people know each other. And I was like, this is different. I grew up in the street where like I maybe knew my next door neighbor, but like didn't really know anyone else, you know, didn't really know my community too much. And I was like, man, this is fascinating. Okay, so I was intrigued. And Jeremy asked me to work for him that summer, and I worked for him, and then I worked for him a little bit more that next year, and then the next summer. So then I graduated university, and I was like, man, what am I gonna do? Like, when you graduate high school, you got to make some decisions. When you graduate university, you really got to, you know, sort stuff out. And I was wrestling with like teachers college. I was wrestling with doing a master's, but then I was like, you know what? I have been in school for a long time. I want to actually do something. I want to be doing something that is meaningful. The thing is, there was not a whole lot of job openings for just doing something meaningful. So I found a couple side gigs. I did some flying balloons, like hot air balloons, did some like working at like coffee shops and farms. But what I did with most of my time was actually just volunteer with this organization that was working with these communities. And then after, yeah, like a year and a half of that, Jeremy asked me to come work for him a bit more in like a full-time capacity, and that's where I am now. Anyways, that's just a bit about where I got to where I am. And I think now that I'm here, I've got some things I would love to share with you guys about that. But first, I want to just play a little quick, like 2-minute thing for you guys. Just so you guys know, it's really confusing. Like, I wish I could bring you guys all here and show you around and introduce you to some people, because the people here are awesome. But just so you guys know a little bit about like what we do as an organization and like the place we live, I thought I'd just share that with you quickly, and then love to share just a few of the things I've learned with you guys, and then we can chat if that's cool. So I've got a cool little video I want to show you. I hope I can share. Yeah, here we go. We're gonna go like this. Nice. Okay, sweet. Sorry, I've got a bunch of like tabs open that I'm trying to do some work on. But we're gonna go like this, and we're gonna go. Oh.
Today the sun rises on the city.
Everyone can hear okay? That's fine. We're good? Okay, sweet. So just a background. This is in Waterloo. This is, we work with some teenagers and some kids and some parents that, like your teacher was saying, are typically in lower income neighborhoods. They're mostly immigrant refugee kids. So they've just had a totally different life than, you know, I ever experienced, and I'm sure most of you experience. And this is a bit about them. I'm just gonna play like the first like 2 and a bit minutes, just so you guys get a feel for what goes on. Yeah, anyways.
Of Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. And as it does, its early rays discover boys engaged with their passion. The year is like no other. The pandemic has required much ingenuity from those who have felt the restrictions of the lockdown and the absence of regular schooling or recreation opportunities. Like they do each morning and many hours in between, our youth find a way to fulfill their need to play, laugh, and be together. They are the youth of our community. They are the youth of Sunnydale, Albert, and High Street. They are the youth of Adventure for Change.
The work that Adventure Change does is it empowers these students. It creates expectations, it sets bars, it raises things up for them in a way that is truly life-changing, because sometimes all these students need is an example of what's possible.
A4C works with children in partnerships with the local school board, in the community with parents and families, and among a growing and lively group of teens. Today, we have over 35 programs, 300 children, and 140 youth. And in 2019, 160 volunteers engaged with us, along with a growing number of parents.
Yeah, I'm also realizing, man, we're getting short on time. That really makes me sad. I wanted to really dig into this question here that I put up here, and I'm intrigued about this question about what Jesus would actually do, because so I found this organization, guys, that was tackling some issues in the world that was really near and dear to my heart. So I grew up like Kasena, like passionate about kids, grew up like some of you guys, passionate about sports. And I was like, man, what does that actually mean to live well and to do what Jesus would actually do? And then what I learned, one of the things I've learned while being here is that yeah, a big part of our job, a big part of what Jesus was about, at least, was about like changing the world he was in and addressing some of the stuff that was going on in the world, some of the injustices, some of the problems. And you guys, like, I'm sure, like, this is a Bible class, so you guys have maybe looked into some of that, right? You've seen how Jesus interacted with like the woman caught in adultery. Like, you know, the rule would have said to, you know, stone her, and Jesus was like, yeah, let's address this, let's figure this out. Or yeah, some other different examples, right? And I think what I learned about coming here was that our lives are meant to be lived for others, which is interesting, right? So different things I want to say. Okay, so mostly the people here showed me a different way of perceiving life. So let me give you an example, right? So I've told you a little bit about my life. This is how different life is for some people. One of the families that lives, so I moved into one of these neighborhoods, guys, that is like a lower income neighborhood, because it made sense to be closer and like in tune with the people I was like doing work with. I was actually thinking like, man, Jesus like left heaven and came down to earth to be with folks, and that was just something he did. And then I was like, man, and then I also think about some of the people I look up to. I don't know if you guys know of like Mother Teresa, who like left her place that she did and just went and lived amongst the poor in Calcutta, India. There's a person I look up to whose name is Dorothy Day, and she started during the Great Depression. She like fed like hundreds of thousands of people in America who were like homeless and jobless, but she lived amongst people who were kind of in those situations. So I moved in one of these neighborhoods because I was like, this makes sense. This seems like a thing that Jesus might do. It sounds pretty like unorthodox. Like most of the people I was friends with were like, why are you moving there? Most of the people I meet were like, oh, you live in Sunnydale? Like that's called, like, we call it Scummydale. Like why'd you move there? And me and my roommates, me and my friends moved in, and we're like why would we not move here? This is where like we're trying to make a difference in our world. Like why would we not move into this space? Like is the kind of Jesus idea, like you leave where you are to like go and be with, you know, people that you're trying to work with. So anyways, I came in here thinking like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna change the world here. I'm gonna like, you know, be this kind of like cool savior person to a bunch of these like teenagers and kids. I'm gonna like, you know, these kids don't have a whole lot. I'm gonna come and like change their world, which is, you know, like pretty maybe like normal to think. Like you've got all this wisdom and knowledge, and I've been to university and I've got this faith, you know, and I'm like, I want to share all this. What I realized obviously very quickly, and you guys probably know where this is going, is that I quickly became the student, and the people here became my teachers. And it's because of people like my neighbor Mwata, who is a Liberian woman, so from like West Africa. She has 9 kids. She lives in a house with 3 bedrooms, I think. So there's 11 people in the house, and like she works as much as she can, but when you've got like 9 kids at home, you have to like be home to, you know, take care of the kids and, you know, get them, especially online school. She's got to be home to like get them on track. But she like has been through trauma after trauma after trauma in her life, and just to get to where she is, where she's living here in a, you know, neighborhood that's not like the nicest, but she had to go through so much just to get here. And her kids now, like just don't have anywhere near the same opportunity as kids that I grew up going to school with ever did. So these kids, like one of the kids is really into basketball, which is, you know, awesome and cool, but what's he supposed to do with it? He goes to the court every day to play on his own. What's he supposed to do with it? He just nothing, right? So part of what, you know, our organization does is come alongside and say, hey man, we want to get you signed up on a basketball team, or, you know, we want to do that kind of stuff. But a lot of these, what I meant to say there is like a lot of these parents have been through so much. When I come in and say, oh, I want to make all this difference and change the world, what's actually really important is that I learn what these families have been through and what their stories are. And then I actually end up learning a lot about myself and my own faith. So if I'm being honest, I think I've learned more in the last year and a half being here about God and about, you know, like all these big faith things than I have, you know, in a lot of years I spent, you know, at youth group, just because it's so different and it shocks you. And the funny thing, maybe this is a bit, you know, dodgy, whatever, and we can, you know, sort through that later. But like a lot of the things I've learned about God are from my neighbors who are Muslims, which is really neat, right? So my next door neighbor here, his name's Rashid. He's got 4 kids, 4 boys. He like ran away from war in his country of Eritrea, and he settled here, and he works a factory job. He gets paid like $15 an hour to work this factory job. He is the most capable guy ever, but because his English skills are sucky, he has like no chance of getting any like really good job here. So he works his job to do what he's doing and to support his family. But then these 2 other kids who like lived with their mom, like they became orphaned because their mom went in for surgery and like didn't come out. It was a heart surgery, she didn't make it. These 2 kids who were from the same kind of tribe as he was were all of a sudden orphaned, and just immediately he was like, oh, of course, you just come live with me, you're my kids now. And I was like, whoa, like there's a bit of a process here, man. You can't just like take these kids in. And he's like, no, like this is what I sense is like required of me as a Muslim, is just to take care of my neighbor and to take care of whoever needs it. So like right now we're in Ramadan, which is a big Muslim celebration. They bring food over to our house every single day, and they're like, we love you, we want, like, you're our neighbor, we really appreciate you guys, here's food. They took in these 2 kids, they like run different stuff for the community. I've learned so much about how to be a person who makes change and loves their neighbor from this neighbor of mine, Rashid, who is a Muslim guy from Eritrea. And I could tell story after story about what I've learned from these different families. But I think where I wanted to go with that is that I learned that for me.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
So
shoot.
Can I just, we've got like a minute less than. So, hey, can I just ask everyone, I'm going to end the meeting and then I'm going to restart it. Okay. So we've got like 20 minutes left in the period. So could we just jump back on and let Josh have the opportunity to finish what he's saying? So I'm going to end the meeting. Can you just jump back in when I restart it? Okay. Here we go. Let's do this.
Okay.